Imagine for a moment an army robot worth $200 million, a lethal killing machine, suddenly posing as the boyfriend of a fairly ordinary girl and heading off to college. It might sound unbelievable, but that's exactly the scenario that unfolds in our story today, where reality takes a wild twist. This story begins in Washington, where the American Army is quickly heading toward a rugby field to apprehend two highly dangerous criminals. The atmosphere crackles with tension as General McPhee and his soldiers move in, weapons at the ready. With them is a scientist named James Hartley, a brilliant mind who has contributed immeasurably to their technological arsenal. The moment they arrive, McPhee orchestrates a swift and strategic surround of these criminals. Having cornered them completely, McPhee offers them a final chance to surrender, since these two culprits have stolen an extremely deadly weapon valued at a staggering $24 million, an offense that has the U.S. president fuming. At that critical juncture, James, who also happens to be deeply involved in the U.S. military's secret projects, chimes in, offering the two offenders a last warning to come out quietly. With a wry twist, he threatens, "If you don't come out right now, I won't let either of you attend any party." Hearing that oddly specific threat, both criminals step out in silence, their heads hung low. Yet, to everyone's shock, these criminals turn out to be just two teenage girls, May, James's daughter, and her close friend, Gabby. They aren't seasoned outlaws at all, just typical high school students. Rewind to 2 days prior. During their math exam, May and Gabby completed their papers at lightning speed, illustrating their academic prowess and their ease with complex mathematics. After the test, May agreed to tutor a boy named Jaden, who happens to be the most popular and charismatic guy at their school. Despite his popularity, Jaden struggles deeply with math and often seeks May's assistance. So during one of these private tutoring sessions, Jaden casually asks May whether she will be attending the upcoming homecoming party. In a coy manner, May replies, "Maybe I'll come, maybe I won't." But Jaden, determined, insists, "That won't fly. You must show up." The way he says it hints at his real desire. He wants May to come as his date, but doesn't come right out and say so directly. Later, May shares this entire conversation with her friend Gabby, feeling both excited and uncertain. However, unbeknownst to them, Jaden's girlfriend Nev overhears and swiftly intervenes by openly humiliating May in front of other students. Nev's tone drips with jealousy and contempt, and Jaden only manages a lukewarm attempt at defending May. Embarrassed and desperate, May blurts out, "You know what? I also have a boyfriend, all right? His name's Albert." Yes, Albert. He's so insanely gorgeous that if you laid eyes on him, you'd absolutely lose your mind. Uttering these words in the heat of the moment leads May into a dilemma. Now everyone expects her to show up with this imaginary boyfriend. At home later, May is frantic, wondering how on earth she'll conjure a real boyfriend out of thin air. Gabby, trying to ease her tension, reminds May that her father has been working on a humanoid robot for some time. "We can make that robot your boyfriend and bring him to the party," Gabby suggests. The idea sounds bizarre to May, but she's running out of options fast. What May doesn't realize is that her father James is heavily involved in advanced military work. He reports to General McPhee and a specialized unit who rely on James's cutting-edge research to develop robotic soldiers. One such model James has created is a soldier robot that exemplifies the fusion of intricate technology with lethal capability. General McPhee, thoroughly impressed by the robot's performance, decides to present it to the president. Immediately after McPhee leaves, James locks the room where the robot is housed, wanting to ensure maximum security. Meanwhile, Gabby, resolute in her plan to transform James's creation into May's perfect date, tries to hack into James's highly protected system. After a significant battle with firewalls and hidden security protocols, she finally succeeds. Flush with excitement, May and Gabby then begin customizing this cutting-edge soldier robot, as though it were a character in a high-tech video game. They spend hours virtually modifying its appearance and programming, and eventually they create a remarkably handsome avatar they name Albert. Through the computer screen, Albert greets May with a polite "hello," extending his hand as though to shake hers. But the moment May touches the laptop screen, she feels a jolt of electricity zap her fingertips. Simultaneously in the lab, the real physical robot slips into a fluid chamber, initiating its metamorphosis into Albert, as if bridging the digital realm and the real one. Just then, a pungent burning smell wafts through the air, alerting May and Gabby that something is definitely going wrong. Rushing downstairs, they discover James's computer going haywire, sparks flying, circuits shorting out. Horrified, they realize that their meddling has caused some catastrophic glitch in James's sophisticated tech. In that same instant, they hear footsteps approaching the office, prompting Gabby to slip outside to create a diversion. In the hallway, she runs into May's brother, Brett, who demands to know why she was snooping around in his father's office. Gabby tries to brush him off, but Brett blocks her path, stating that he'll only let her pass if she agrees to be his date for the homecoming. Gabby staunchly refuses at first, but then they hear James's car engine as he returns home. Fear flashes through Gabby, and Brett casually remarks, "If you don't agree, I'll have no choice but to tell Dad everything about you and May." Cornered, Gabby surrenders to his blackmail and accepts his invitation. Back in the lab, all the servers have crashed. In the chaos, the soldier robot, now fully transformed into Albert, awakens and bolts from the facility at astonishing speed. Not long after, James himself enters the house. Brett, determined to hide the day's mishaps, immediately distracts his father with conversation. James, however, still detects the unmistakable smell of burning electronics. Brett skillfully hands him a cup of tea and serenades him with random sweet tunes, successfully diverting James's mind until he falls into a dozy nap on the sofa. Seizing the chance, Brett heads to his father's office, finding the wrecked servers. When Gabby and May are confronted, Gabby confesses how they hacked the system and inadvertently unleashed a lethal but now reprogrammed soldier robot named Albert. Outraged, Brett declares he won't help them cover up such a monumental mess until Gabby reminds him of his own pressing desire to maintain his new homecoming date. With that, Brett reluctantly decides to help fix the situation. The following morning, James awakens, about to investigate his office as usual, when General McPhee phones to inform him of a significant explosion back at the lab. Alarmed, James rushes off, failing to notice that Brett spent the night feverishly trying to patch up the mangled servers. Once James arrives at the lab, he's stunned to hear that his prized soldier robot has gone missing, only to be replaced by a wave of exhilaration. For James, seeing the robot functioning well by escaping under its own power means the years of research and secret efforts are finally paying off. On the other side of town, May and Gabby pull into the school parking lot, only to be ambushed by Nev's smug announcement that she has sent a friend request to Albert on social media. Her goal is to expose May's so-called imaginary boyfriend. May and Gabby exchange anxious looks as Nev sneers. They must have created a fake profile for Albert to make their lies believable. But before this confrontation can escalate, the crowd's attention is captured by Albert arriving at school in a stunning Lamborghini, a dramatic entrance that leaves everyone wide-eyed. Nev loses no time in demanding that Albert define his relationship with May, and Albert responds matter-of-factly, "We are very much in love with each other." The boldness of his words stuns Nev, while the surrounding girls swoon over Albert, who embodies an almost otherworldly charm. That day at school, May spends nearly every free moment in Albert's company, enthralled by the novelty of having such a mesmerizing figure by her side. Left out, Gabby starts to feel lonely and eventually confronts Albert, asking him what his endgame is. Albert replies with something cryptic. Once his mission is complete, he will leave quietly. That mission, he clarifies, is to experience the most wonderful romantic moments possible with May, as if fulfilling some deeply embedded programming directive. During football practice, Albert baffles everyone by performing 170 push-ups in rapid succession, shattering Jaden's previous record. The coach, impressed and curious, hands Albert a rugby ball and tells him to throw it as far as he possibly can. With a single powerful motion, Albert hurls the ball so hard that it drags a nearby student all the way to the shed behind the field. After school that afternoon, Jaden tries to remind May of their scheduled math tutoring session, but she blows him off and jumps into Albert's sleek car instead. Albert whisks May and Gabby off to a tranquil park, where he straightforwardly asks May to attend the homecoming with him. Overwhelmed, May initially demurs, feeling unworthy of someone who seems so unbelievably perfect. Gabby, off to the side, looks uneasy and withdrawn. When May asks if something is wrong, Gabby admits, "I'm worried that Albert is coming between our friendship. You only focus on him anymore." Right then, Albert picks up a guitar out of nowhere and starts singing an endearing serenade for May, who finds the performance irresistible. Swept up in the romance, May declares she'll go to homecoming with him. Just as her excitement peaks, Gabby's phone rings. It's Brett. He sounds terrified and insists she come home immediately. All this time, James is racking his brain, trying to figure out who might have stolen his precious soldier robot. Suddenly, he recalls having a copy of the robot's software at home, which sets off alarm bells. Elsewhere, the Black Sigma Gang, an underground group that's been bent on acquiring James's advanced military technology, catches wind of the robot's disappearance. They have spent months laying out plans to steal this sophisticated creation, so news of its sudden freedom galvanizes them into action. Meanwhile, Gabby arrives home to find Brett in a near panic. He reveals to her that their dad doesn't work for a gaming company at all. He's been developing futuristic weapons for the US Army, and the robot is a top-secret advanced weapons system. Horrified to realize she has inadvertently turned a dangerous killing machine into May's affectionate boyfriend, Gabby is almost paralyzed with fear. Right then, they hear someone entering the house, prompting them to scramble into a closet to hide. In a matter of seconds, operatives from Black Sigma break into James's office. They hack the remaining files and steal more data about Albert, then proceed to destroy the computer systems. Things escalate further when a US Army team, having tracked the security breach, also arrives at the scene. They take one look at the smashed technology and immediately deduce Black Sigma's involvement. By this point, Brett and Gabby have emerged in the living room, feigning a casual study session. When James questions them about what happened, they pretend total ignorance, leading the suspicious general to interrogate them further. As tension mounts, Brett tries to change the subject, asking, "Who exactly is this uniformed gentleman, Dad?" Because James has always concealed his real job from his children, he quickly improvises, claiming that the general is some sort of video game consultant. Brett, burning with resentment and feeling betrayed, is about to confront James then and there about the 5-year-long deception, but Gabby cleverly ushers him away with a hasty excuse. Meanwhile, Black Sigma traces Albert's next destination to the homecoming event. Determined to capture him, they opt to tail Gabby and Brett, believing that following the siblings is their best chance of cornering this extraordinary robot. Soon, the pursuit leads to a rugby field, where Gabby and Brett spot both Albert and May. Black Sigma members split up, trying to isolate Gabby and Brett to get closer to Albert. Taking the initiative, Gabby pulls May aside to speak privately, leaving Albert to chat with Brett. In that moment, Albert's high-tech optical scanner identifies one of the Black Sigma goons lurking nearby. Without hesitation, Albert confronts the man alone, subduing him with minimal effort, knocking him out cold in mere seconds. Gabby, meanwhile, tries to persuade May to accept that Albert is nothing more than an artificially constructed machine. But May remains convinced that there's genuine affection between them. Gabby insists that May, as Albert's improvised mission commander, has the power to activate his self-destruct mode. Horrified at the thought, May accuses Gabby of being jealous and chooses to sever their friendship. On the other side, the remaining Black Sigma members stumble upon their unconscious comrade, battered and bruised by Albert's inhuman strength. Realizing the severity of the threat, they switch to Plan B, an electropulse device capable of shutting down the advanced robot on the spot, neutralizing any risk he poses. In the next big game at school, one of the players on May and Jaden's team is hurt, leaving their side at a disadvantage. The coach, seeing no other way, calls on Albert, who steps up without hesitation. The moment the match restarts, Albert scores with lightning speed and agility, leaving everyone in the stands astonished. During this high-stakes moment, the general identifies the 3 Black Sigma operatives who had earlier ransacked James's home. The local police prepare to nab them, but pause when they're shown a video clip of Albert leaping into the air and effortlessly dominating the match. James, confronted with footage of Albert's astounding feats, is dumbfounded at the sight of his lethal creation, strolling around with his teenage daughter. On the field, Albert is unstoppable, and cheers erupt from the audience every time he makes a move. Nev is seething with envy, repeatedly trying to shift the crowd's cheers to Jaden, but nobody complies. Ultimately, Albert secures the winning point, prompting the entire team to hoist him up in celebration. Right then, Black Sigma activates the electropulse device. Instantly, the stadium lights flicker out, and Albert collapses as though someone pulled the plug, his power draining away. In that same dramatic moment, US Army personnel storm in, intent on retrieving Albert. The captain wants an immediate sweep of the area, but James halts him, wary of Albert's potential for destruction if provoked. James pleads with the captain to allow Albert to finish whatever mission the robot has undertaken. When the captain balks at this suggestion, James brandishes a threat of his own. "If you don't go along with this, I'll never build another robot for the government again." Cornered, the captain grudgingly agrees. He stations multiple soldiers, disguised as partygoers, to keep watch from every corner, waiting for Albert to reactivate or show signs of movement. Inside the homecoming dance, Neve, fueled by bitterness, plots to expose Albert right after she wins the homecoming queen title. But Jaden, having grown disillusioned with Neve's antics, shows no interest in her schemes. When she lashes out at him one time too many, Jaden immediately breaks up with her, fed up with her bullying and obsessive ways. Soon after, the school principal announces May as the new homecoming queen, delighting James, who's been nervously observing from the sidelines. The captain admits he rigged the vote by ordering his disguised men to pick May, but it doesn't dampen James's relief one bit. Hearing May's name drives Neve over the edge. She dashes to the stage to unmask Albert, loudly proclaiming that he is nothing more than a disguised weapon. However, the crowd simply dismisses her as being paranoid, believing she's inventing wild stories out of spite. In the midst of this chaos, Jaden confides in Gabby that he had always wanted to invite May to the party, but was too unsure of himself to ask. Gabby, finally understanding the entire picture, feels guilty about misjudging May and decides to reconcile with her friend. They share apologies, bridging the rift between them. Meanwhile, May and Albert finally have a chance to take the dance floor together. This is the moment both May has been looking forward to, yet the real tension lies with the captain and his men, armed and waiting, concealed among the dancing students. Jaden and Gabby watch from a distance, each silently hopeful that May will make the right decision. As May dances with Albert, her gaze lands on Jaden. Something shifts within her, and she concludes that it's time to end this charade. Gathering her resolve, she tells Albert she must break up with him. He responds solemnly, explaining that he doesn't want to return to being just another soldier, an emotionless tool of war. He then implores May to initiate his self-destruct protocol. May, looking into his eyes, softly confesses, "I love you," the trigger that signals the completion of Albert's mission. In a sudden burst of energy, Albert rockets skyward, disappearing into the night as if he had never truly belonged on Earth. Confusion ripples through the onlookers, prompting Brett to quip, "Wow, what an explosive show. Hats off to the principal for one heck of a performance." The homecoming continues, and Jaden, summoning his courage, asks May to share a dance. But at this point, May prefers to spend some quality time with Gabby, savoring their renewed friendship. This confounds Jaden, who can only shrug in exasperation, thinking, seriously, first they want one thing, then another. Don't women ever make sense, man? If you enjoyed the video, remember to give it a like and subscribe to the channel.